and I want to give an interesting little development in the world of college hoops recruiting. And so we've talked a lot on this show the last couple of weeks about college hoops recruiting, because this is weirdly a busy time of year, right? Summer, spring and summer, it's about evaluating what schools like you, what schools do you like? Then in the fall, you get a lot of visits, especially around big football games. And this time of year is really when you start to see the commitments roll in, something we've seen over the last couple of weeks. I bring it up because there is one player that is being watched and eyed with curiosity more than anybody else, and that is the number one high school player in America, Cooper Flagg, originally a member of the class of 2025, but in August reclassified and now is a member of 2024. By the way, complete side story, Cooper Flagg was on TV again this past weekend. Watched just a little bit. Kid is phenomenal. And I'm not going to do the whole like, well, he's the best this since that, and he's the best. No, but he is a really, really good player. 6'8", 6'9", can handle the ball, creates for others, elite shot blocker for a guy that's not super, super, super tall. I mean, he is the total package. Awesome player to watch. I'm so glad he's going to be playing college basketball a year from now. I bring it up, though, because the recruitment has certainly been interesting. Even before he reclassified, it was deemed Duke. It's going to be Duke, right? That's his dream school. Nobody else should even bother recruiting. Duke, to Duke, to Duke, to Duke, to Duke. And it is worth noting, when he reclassified to 2024, in some ways that helped Duke even more, because Carlos Boozer's son, Cameron Boozer, who we've talked about also on this show, is in 2025. They play kind of similar positions. Now you don't have to pick between one of the two. The two don't have to figure out if they can play together. You can go after both. So Duke has been the perceived favorite forever. Dream school, took it unofficial in the summer. And this fall, things have really started to ramp up, and they'll culminate this week. That's because earlier in the fall, he took a visit to UConn. Then he canceled a visit to Kansas. And this coming weekend, he will, in fact, take that official visit to Duke and wrap the recruiting process. My guess is that shortly after that visit, he'll kind of make an announcement on where he wants to go. I bring it up because Duke has been the perceived favorite forever, but ever since that UConn visit, there's just been faint whispers. You just got to listen close. Got to put your ear to the ground. There's been faint whispers that maybe UConn isn't quite as far back as a lot of people think. And I bring it up because this week we got a fascinating update in the least likely place imaginable that I think is at least worth having a conversation. I'm not saying it means everything, but I don't think it means nothing either. That update, can you believe this? UConn fans, you know where I'm going. It came from a Brooklyn Nets preseason game. Okay. The former land of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I don't even know who they have on their roster now. Mikal Bridges. Okay. So Frank Isola, a longtime New York City newspaper guy, now does TV. He's great. He's on Around the Horn. He's really talented guy. I like his work a lot. So he is doing color commentary on the Brooklyn Nets broadcast. And they mention a player from Montverde Academy where Cooper Flagg plays. And Frank Isola, did you hear what he said? He said that he's hearing through the grapevine that Cooper Flagg is going to go to UConn. And here is the exact quote from Frank Isola. And I don't think he thought he was going to break the internet when he said it. But on the Nets broadcast on Monday, he said, I'm going to make a prediction. He's going to play for Danny Hurley at UConn. If I'm wrong, don't hold me to that. It's just something that I've heard. Now, I know a lot of you who have no interest in this recruitment, and a lot of you who are Duke fans are sitting there saying, Torres, take off your tinfoil hat. You're out of your mind. It doesn't make sense. Why are you even acknowledging this? Thank you, everybody, as always, for your support of the Aaron Torres Pod and Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. And we have a major announcement as legal sports betting is now in the state of Kentucky. That is right. The Aaron Torres Pod and Aaron Torres Pod YouTube has partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook and the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And here is the best part. DraftKings has an incredible offer for listeners of the Aaron Torres Pod who are first-time customers with DraftKings. This is the deal. Here's what you need to know. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet $5 on any game, just $5, and you get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use the promo code Torres. That's right. It's that simple. Again, first-time customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5 on any game, pro, college, any sport you want, and get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use the code Torres. Thank you to our new partners, DraftKings Sportsbook. Thrilled to be working with them. Take advantage of their offer now. Well, it's because if you do a little bit of digging, you realize that Frank Isola, besides being a journalist, newspaper guy, whatever, he's got maybe a little bit more credibility and maybe a little bit more insight than would lean on. Why is that? Well, for anybody who knows what Frank Isola does during the day when the Nets aren't playing, he hosts SiriusXM NBA. Who does he co-host SiriusXM NBA with? None other than Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, baby. That is right. And so for people sitting there saying, Brian Scalabrine, I kind of remember that name. He played for the Boston Celtics on that 2008 title team with Kevin Durant, Paul Pierce, etc. But more important, you know who he mentors in his free time? Cooper Flagg. And you can go back and you can Google it. It's not hard to find a paper trail between Brian Scalabrine and Cooper Flagg. They work out together. I believe Brian Scalabrine, during Cooper Flagg's freshman year, when he was playing for a state title, Brian Scalabrine went up to Maine to watch the game. They've stayed in touch. You know, whenever you see these kind of viral stories about Cooper Flagg, oh, he torched this NBA guy, and at this camp he did this. A lot of it comes from Brian Scalabrine, who talks about him on the podcast, this, that, the other thing. So I bring it up because for anybody who says, well, Frank Isola, why would he say that? He works with the guy who's probably closest to Cooper Flagg in NBA circles in Brian Scalabrine. And so, as I said a minute ago, I'm not saying it means everything, but I'm not saying it means nothing either. And I bring it up because I think it's an interesting development. Obviously, since then, you see all the Reddit message board rumors, and that doesn't really have as much validity to me. I've called around. It still feels like everybody still feels like it's Duke, but it's a weird deal where it doesn't feel like anybody is willing to say that UConn will actually do this, will actually get the kid. But I think there's more people than ever that think it could happen. What do we talk about on this show all the time? There's a difference between what could happen and what will happen. We talk about what could happen, and I think it is at least in play that UConn could eventually end up with this kid. One, sales pitch speaks for itself, right? And we've talked about this part. But UConn, obviously, the kid grew up in Maine. Connecticut is a short drive for that family that is very close. I know that he plays high school ball in Maine right now, but if you watched Peach Jam this summer, he had a whole busload of people from Maine drive down to watch him play in North Augusta, Georgia. Bring it up because it's a close-knit group. Obviously, a trip to Storrs, Connecticut is a lot closer than Durham, North Carolina. And as I said earlier, there are some real family ties. Donovan Clingan, current sophomore at UConn, who was his host on his official visit. His mom, Donovan Clingan's mom, played college basketball with Cooper Flagg's mom. And in an unfortunate twist, Donovan Clingan's mom has unfortunately passed away. But if you look into it, and if you've seen it, while the two were on there, while Cooper Flagg was on his official visit a few weeks ago, credit to Dan Hurley. I don't know who came up with this idea. They got replica jerseys of the two moms' jerseys, and Donovan Clingan and Cooper Flagg posed not only in UConn jerseys, but also in their mother's jerseys. It was very touching, and Kelly Flagg, Cooper Flagg's mom, actually put out a post on social media talking about how much she loved Donovan Clingan's mom, great teammate, great friend, misses her every day, and Donovan Clingan has carried on her legacy. It was actually a very, very touching post. And so I bring it up because there are geographical ties. There are relationships. I think most importantly, UConn's got a lot to sell on the basketball court. National champion, multiple pros just in the last year, let alone James Bouknight and guys that have come before this past year. So UConn's got a lot to offer. I think the other thing that's worth noting, because I know what Duke fans are going to say in the comments, oh, Torres here, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. It is worth noting, like people, oh, well, all the crystal balls are in for Duke. That is true. That is accurate. But here's the thing. Go back and look. All those crystal balls, I think I saw there were 8 crystal balls on 24/7 Sports. 6 or 7 of them are from August. You know how long 2.5 months is in the world of college basketball recruiting? This all happened before his official visits. This all happened before he ever stepped foot in Storrs. Stuff changes, and I think it is at least a possibility that UConn could be the team that gets him. Now, UConn's got their backs against the wall. Cooper Flagg is going to Duke this weekend, and yes, if I was still putting money on it, if you could bet on this as a prop bet in Vegas, if you could bet on this as a prop bet in the DraftKings Sportsbook, I'd still take Duke. But I'm telling you, there's too much smoke for this to be nothing. The fact that the Kansas visit was canceled just after UConn, Frank Isola's comments with his ties to Brian Scalabrine. I just think there's something there that's worth monitoring, and it'll be fascinating. Good thing is, if you're tired of Torres's tinfoil conspiracy theories, again, Cooper Flagg will visit Duke this weekend. And my guess is after that, he will probably decide here pretty soon so that he can go ahead and sign his paperwork in the fall. But a fascinating, fascinating development in the recruitment of Cooper Flagg.